The human mind, for all of history, has been the last private frontier, a space of absolute sovereignty where thoughts, beliefs, and dissent could exist beyond the reach of any state or authority. This inner sanctuary, this final bastion of privacy, is now becoming a technically accessible and manageable domain. The boundary between our internal cognitive world and the external digital infrastructure is dissolving, and this shift represents the most significant challenge to human autonomy since the Enlightenment. What was once the stuff of science fiction, the direct interface between technology and the mind, is now an emerging reality, driven by the immense strategic interests of state and corporate power. We are moving from a world that polices our speech to one that can potentially police our thoughts before they are even fully formed. As our cognitive processes become transparent, as the very mechanics of belief become legible to machines, what new rules and defenses are we building to protect the essence of ourselves? And are they being built fast enough? As technology races into the deepest recesses of our brains, our legal frameworks are proving dangerously obsolete. Laws designed centuries ago to protect our physical bodies, our property, and our external speech are simply not equipped to govern a world where a person's neural activity can be decoded, recorded, and even altered. The strategic importance of creating a new jurisprudence of the mind, a new set of rules for this new frontier, cannot be overstated. We are in a race to build these legal shields before the technology becomes too powerful and too entrenched to regulate. This global response began with the conceptual work of the Neurorights Foundation, which in 2017 proposed 5 core rights to form a protective shell around our minds: the right to mental privacy, to personal identity, to free will, to equal access, and to protection from algorithmic bias. This idea found fertile ground in Chile, which in 2021 became the first nation in the world to codify this principle, passing a constitutional amendment that grants the human brain the same legal status as a physical organ. This wasn't merely symbolic. In 2023, the Chilean Supreme Court invoked this new power in a landmark neuroprivacy case, ruling that brainwave data is uniquely sensitive and demands far higher protection than other forms of personal information. Following this precedent, Mexico has advanced similar legislative proposals to safeguard mental and psychic integrity, recognizing that in our digital world, the line between the physical and the psychological self has all but disappeared. This momentum has reached the global stage, with UNESCO adopting its recommendation on the ethics of neurotechnology in 2025. While not legally binding, it provides an essential ethical blueprint for the world, a standard that specifically calls for prohibitions on nudging or manipulative practices using neural data, particularly when such practices target vulnerable populations like children. But while these legal frameworks are a crucial first step, they are a reaction. They are an attempt to catch up to technologies that are already being developed at an astonishing pace, particularly within the secretive corridors of the military-industrial complex. For decades, the primary barrier preventing the widespread use of advanced neurotechnology was the human skull. Accessing the brain required invasive surgery, a risky and impractical limitation that confined brain-computer interfaces to the clinical or the experimental. Overcoming this physical barrier, creating a high-bandwidth link to the brain without a single incision, is the key to unlocking societal scale application for both profound good and unimaginable ill. At the leading edge of this effort is a program from the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, called the Next Generation Non-Surgical Neurotechnology, or N3. The central challenge is physics. Electrical signals from the brain are scattered and weakened as they pass through bone and tissue, making it nearly impossible to read them with any precision from the outside. The N3 program's revolutionary solution sidesteps this problem using nanotechnology. The approach involves administering magnetoelectric nanoparticles, tiny antennas, delivered by the bloodstream, so small they can cross the blood-brain barrier, which then position themselves within the neural tissue. These microscopic neural relays act as transducers. An external device generates a magnetic field that passes harmlessly through the skull. The nanoparticles inside convert this magnetic field into a tiny, localized electrical field. which can then be used to write information by stimulating a specific group of neurons. In reverse, the particles can read the brain's natural electrical whispers and transmit that information back out to an external sensor. The precision is astonishing, targeting a small volume of tissue with a delay of less than 50 milliseconds. The intended military purpose is clear: to allow a service member to control complex machinery, like a swarm of drones or a cyber defense system, entirely at the speed of thought. The technology's dual-use nature isn't a hypothetical risk, however. It's an inherent design feature. A tool built to write commands into the brain is, by definition, a tool that can read data from it. The line between therapeutic interface and coercive interrogation tool is not a line at all. It's a switch. While the N3 program focuses on interfacing with the brain, creating a two-way data link, another DARPA program is focused on interpreting its content. This program, from the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, called the Neural Evidence Aggregation Tool, or NEAT, represents a strategic shift from controlling a person's actions to decoding their very beliefs. Its target is what scientists call preconscious signals, the brain's immediate, unfiltered reactions to information that occur in the milliseconds before conscious awareness kicks in, before we have a chance to rationalize, filter, or lie. These signals are seen as the ultimate source of ground truth about a person's internal state. The goal of NEAT is to replace the flawed and easily manipulated self-reporting of questionnaires and traditional screenings with objective, physiological markers. The system works by presenting a subject with carefully crafted stimuli like self-referential statements such as, "I want to end my life," or "I enjoy my life," and measuring the involuntary neural and physiological responses to determine if they truly believe them. It is designed not as a simple lie detector, but as a mental MRI for invisible conditions like suicidal ideation or depression. The implications for mental health are enormous, but the potential for abuse is even more drastic. As the historian Yuval Noah Harari has warned, placing such a tool in the hands of a 21st century Stalin could create the worst totalitarian regime in human history. He articulates the danger with a simple formula: biological knowledge multiplied by computing power multiplied by data equals the ability to hack humans. And let's be clear what that formula means. Biological knowledge is the map of the brain's emotional and belief centers that NEAT provides. Computing power is the vast AI infrastructure that can process these signals in real time. Data is the constant stream of preconscious reactions from a monitored population. The result isn't just hacking a computer, it's hacking the human operating system. Picture a world of absolute predictive policing, where a citizen is forced to smile and applaud a political leader, but their NEAT-derived signals betray their internal dissent, flagging them for intervention before they have even committed a thought crime. Targeted surveillance of an individual's beliefs is an insurmountable threat. But another, quieter branch of research explores a much broader and more insidious form of influence: the ability to manipulate the nervous systems of entire populations at once. Beyond the direct brain-computer interfaces that capture headlines, a quieter field of research has long explored the use of ambient electromagnetic fields to influence human biology. The strategic importance of this technology lies in its covertness. It is a tool for cognitive nudging that operates without the target's knowledge or consent, subtly altering emotional and physiological states from a distance. A key document in this field is U.S. Patent 6506148B2, which describes a method for manipulating the human nervous system using weak electromagnetic fields pulsed from common devices like television sets and computer monitors. The patent's core assertion is that by pulsing the image on a screen at specific low frequencies, around 0.5 Hz or 2.4 Hz, a monitor can emit electromagnetic fields that are strong enough to affect a nearby person's nervous system. The physiological effects cited are shockingly specific: a drooping of the eyelids indicating drowsiness, an involuntary tonic smile, and even autonomic disruption, such as sexual excitement. Crucially, the patent claims this can be achieved at a subliminal intensity, meaning the viewer is completely unaware they are being manipulated. This is the scientific foundation for what is known as brainwave entrainment, and other research confirms that different frequencies can produce different results. 12 Hertz field, for example, has been shown to enhance working memory. While some claims, like those in an FCC filing alleging the use of mobile phone networks for mass mind control in total policing zones, seem extreme, they represent a logical extrapolation of the core science, using invisible fields to make a population more docile, anxious, or compliant. When you combine this potential for ambient manipulation with the ever-growing network of sensors we carry on our bodies and embed in our cities, you create the foundation for a truly global system of neural surveillance. The strategic endgame for these technologies is not isolated use, but total integration. Concepts like remote neural monitoring and the Internet of Bodies imagine a future where the data from our brains is just one more stream in a vast, interconnected network of sensors that monitor our biology and our environment simultaneously. This is the global panopticon, where the line between our inner self and the outside world is erased entirely. This is the endgame where all the pieces click into place. The non-invasive nanoparticles from the N3 program become the sensors for the Internet of Bodies. The preconscious belief signatures identified by NEAT become the data points it analyzes, and the ambient fields from patents like Luce's become the tools to nudge the population back into alignment when the data shows dissent. In this integrated system, data from a person's wearable EEG sensor could be correlated in real time with their physical location from LiDAR systems and their heart rate from a smartwatch. This is already happening. In some factories, workers are required to wear brain sensors to monitor their emotional states and productivity, with managers having the authority to send them home if their neural metrics fall below a state-defined target. Extrapolated to a societal scale, this creates a world where everyone is a spy against themselves. A person's own biological signals could betray their internal dissent to a network of environmental sensors as they walk down the street. In this system of total enslavement, humanity is reduced to a collection of hackable animals or human capital investments, with our thoughts and emotions managed by algorithm to ensure alignment with state or corporate objectives. And if this is the future of societal control, these same technologies are poised to fundamentally redefine the nature of warfare and the identity of the soldier on the battlefield. The strategic imperative driving the development of military neurotechnology is the quest for a decisive advantage on the battlefield. The Frey effect is a well-documented phenomenon utilizing pulsed microwaves to induce the perception of auditory stimuli directly within the cranium. Advancements in this technology have facilitated the transmission of intelligible speech, a capability termed synthetic telepathy, or alternatively voice-to-skull communication. Critically, synthetic telepathy may enable a soldier to control machinery or coordinate with their unit at the speed of cognitive processing. Proof-of-concept experiments have already demonstrated the ability of a pilot to simultaneously control multiple aircraft solely through a brain-chip interface. This technology shatters the legal and ethical identity of the soldier, transforming them from an autonomous human actor into a platform or even a weapon system component. Early systems involved one-way communication, where a soldier's thoughts controlled a machine, but the emergence of bidirectional interfaces, which allow data to flow both ways, suggests an imminent crisis. It opens the possibility of a superior's thoughts directly overriding a subordinate's will, creating puppet soldiers who act on commands that feel like their own. This blurring of agency destroys the traditional lines of responsibility under international humanitarian law. Is the human a combatant, or are they now merely part of the weapon? Furthermore, this creates an entirely new domain of electronic warfare, malicious brain hacking, where an enemy could co-opt a soldier's BCI to manipulate their emotions, suppress their empathy, or force them into a fatal tactical error. Whether on the battlefield or in civilian life, the convergence of these technologies of non-surgical interfaces, preconscious surveillance, and ambient manipulation presents humanity with a pivotal choice concerning its future. The ultimate threat we face is not merely censorship or surveillance, but a tyranny of information control that operates not on our external speech, but on the internal mechanics of thought itself. It is a system that can suppress dissent before it is even consciously articulated. A propaganda that works not by persuasion, but by physiological manipulation. As we stand on this precipice, we must outline a consensus around a set of non-negotiable principles. We must enshrine mental privacy as a fundamental human right, treating our neural data with more sanctity than even our genetic code. We must design systems that guarantee human agency, ensuring a human always has the final veto over the machine. We must outlaw the use of subliminal technologies that manipulate our nervous systems without our awareness, and we must ensure fair access to these tools to prevent a transhumanist stratification of society into the enhanced and the monitored world. What we once called a mysterious soul, and what technology may soon call a hackable animal, is not an inevitable outcome. It is a conscious choice. The defense of our cognitive liberty, the right to control our own inner world, is a monumental conflict of our time, one that will determine the future of human free will.